There, it's been a while. I'm Nerdstrong. I like to cover card games. Um, I haven't posted in a few weeks, but lots happened in that time. We've got a new expansion for Legends of Runeterra. We've got a new expansion for Magic Arena. We even got a mini set for Hearthstone. And those things I can cover later, but right now what I want to focus on is the Legends of Runeterra 2022 roadmap that got released a few days ago. Now, if you've been anywhere on the internet in the last few days since that's been released, you will definitely notice a lot of negativity on both Twitter and Reddit. Um, it's valid though. It really is, especially if you are in the competitive scene. If you look at what they've been saying, what they want to focus on, you'd be a little worried too. But I'm not that. I'm a much more casual player these days. I've done my time as a competitive card player. Now I'm more casual. So what I'd like to do today is run us through that video and kind of give you the casual player's perspective on this new roadmap and where the developers want to take us. So let's do that. All right, and this is the LoR 2022 dev video. Let's see what they have to say.
Are you awake? Must be some magic about.
Here in your time of need.
I do like that new event. The arcade event is a lot of fun.
Hi, I'm Andrew Yip, Design Director for Legends of Runeterra. I want to introduce you all to Brett Freeman, Director of Strategy, and Dave Guskin, Game Director.
These two guys on the side, I have no idea who they are. I mean, they're new faces to me. Andrew Yip has been in it since pretty much the beginning, though. So I kind of trust what he has to say, but we'll see what these other guys have to say first. Oh, we got a problem here. Okay, let me just refresh. Sorry about that. We'll try that again. Okay, so we're gonna have to do some cutting here. LoR 2022. Okay. Go. Alright, here we go.
Must be some magic about.
Here in your time of need.
Hi, I'm Andrew Yip, Design Director for Legends of Runeterra. I want to introduce you all to Brett Freeman, Director of Strategy, and Dave Guskin, Game Director. Today, we're going to chat about our approach to PvE moving into 2022. We'll also share some details about competitive and updates to our release and balance cadence throughout the new year.
2022 will be a transformative year for LoR. We spent 2020 focused on launch, and 2021 was all about exploration, discovering what was possible with new game modes like the Path of Champions.
Now, that's something that I'm a pretty big fan of. The Path of Champions was a very good evolution of labs. And I know that they want to focus more on developing the Path of Champions, which, in my opinion, is good. I mean, it has brought a lot of new players, new eyes to the game. And with more eyes comes more money coming to the game through cosmetics, through cosmetic purchases. And the more we get of that, the more development dollars we get for the rest of the game as well.
But now that we've laid the groundwork, we want to build on everything we've learned.
And from what we've seen, you're ready for that too. In fact, more of you are playing the Path of Champions than all other game modes combined. And we've also seen nearly double the amount of players since the mode launched. We hear you loud and clear.
That line right there is the fact that the player base has doubled just off of Path of Champions alone. I don't play it that often. It's like I play maybe a couple rounds a week. That's it. Like most of my playtime is spent on ladder and making decks, and that's where I like to play. But just knowing that this mode has such a big player base, a big following, that makes me happy. I like seeing different ways to play the game.
And we're already exploring ways to improve the features you're enjoying most. Before Dave walks you through how we'll do that, let's take a look at some highlights since launch.
That's how we do things in Bilgewater.
Love the Bilgewater expansion.
What would you ask of a man with nothing?
To die with honor. We're getting hot, hot, hot!
Sentinels, carry the darkness! Fight for the light!
Oh my, what's the correct protocol here?
Tomorrow has never looked so good!
Alan is your first ever Legends of Runeterra.
That was a huge moment. It's like, even though competitive is such a small microcosm of the player base, just the fact that we had like a Worlds tournament fully cast and fully televised on Twitch, and seeing that story unfold, seeing that the relatively unknown Yamato coming out of nowhere to go up head to head against Alan, one of the most prevalent names in like the Twitch meta. So it is very interesting to see. I liked it a lot. Watching Worlds was a lot of fun. Oh, come on. Why are you doing this? Where are we at? We are at 146.
Legends
All right,
of Runeterra
let's continue on.
World Champion.
It's awesome to see all the enthusiasm, and there's so much more to look forward to. Heading into 2022, the team is focused on bringing you even more storyful adventures and refining the single-player narrative experience with new champions. Then, later this year, we're going to shift our attention to new PvE features, so there are always exciting challenges.
Yeah, and that right there, that's what has a lot of people worried about the state of the game going forward, is that they are focusing so much on the PvE content. But that's the thing, though. It's like, when the majority of your player base enjoys the PvE more than the ladder or the expeditions or the gauntlet or any of the other modes they have available, why wouldn't they? I mean, sure, it gives the competitive players a lot of worry. And for a lot of those people, the whole competitive scene is the only reason they came to this game, because they wanted to compete. Because they for whatever reason were unhappy with any of the other games available to play, but they wanted to compete specifically with this game. And this shift is causing a lot of worry.
Waiting for you. The Path of Champions was our first attempt in introducing this type of progression system, and since launch we've learned a lot from your feedback. With that in mind, we're planning to remake the game mode to be even more immersive and rewarding in the next release. Instead of playing through the same campaign for all champions, we want to give each champion an experience unique to their story.
I like that. I like that a lot.
More than just leveling up or getting new relics. You'll be able to chase specific items for new builds and customize how your champion legend plays through upgrades that are more intentional. For example, maybe you want to swap cards in your starter deck, or change to improve your passive powers. We're working on ways to give you more ownership over how your champion's story plays out. Now, an overhaul like this is going to require a progression reset, but that won't happen until the spring, so keep
No one's gonna
feedback
care about
coming in
that.
the meantime. The team wants to hear from you so we can make the Path of Champions the best it can be. As our priorities shift for all this new content, some features like expeditions will churn out until we have a chance to reimagine a draft-like PvP experience.
Now, this has me interested. I was never a big fan of expeditions. I mean, I like limited as a format for games, but I would much prefer a draft style, like MTG draft style format, to the like dungeon run style that they have for expeditions. The whole buckets thing. My biggest problem is your run in expeditions is usually decided in your first two picks, and that's your champions. It's like, if you don't get a good pair of champions that either synergize well or just do really, really well on their own, you're going to be in for a bad time. I mean, I've done so many bad runs of expedition just because my first few pulls were just absolutely terrible.
But as of February 15th, we've uncapped the number of times you can get weekly rewards. So if you've got tokens left, make sure you get your last runs in before the spring update. Thanks again, and stay tuned for more PvE news in the coming months. Now Andrew will take you through the rest of the roadmap for 2022.
Thanks, Dave. First, let's talk content cadence. Vandal City marked our final region, so we won't have the same update schedule as we've had in the past. After A Curious Journey, we want to focus on standalone expansions that each explore something new. These won't always be the same size or even shape, and they'll add champions to both PvP and PvE. It's important to highlight that Runeterra is so much more than just a collection of regions. There are many champions who wander from place to place or have conflicting loyalties. Champions that could also bring unique mechanics and depth to gameplay. We're calling these Runeterra champions, and they'll break out of traditional region rules. So how do these Runeterra champions work?
This is really interesting. I like what they're doing with like the quote neutral champions. Like when they first talked about them, I thought they were just going to be like regionless champions that you could slot into any region. I was wrong. What they do is they basically create new deck building requirements for building around them. He'll explain how this is going to work in a moment, but I just wanted to reiterate, it's like I'm glad I was wrong with this, because this is a lot more interesting than just having like a neutral character you can slot in anywhere.
Well, luckily, one of them has kindly offered to give you a peek behind the curtain. You've probably heard of him. Jin the Virtuoso.
Art requires a certain cruelty.
Each Runeterra champion has specific deck building rules that are unique to them. As an example, putting Jin in a deck allows you to include cards with skills from all other regions. This opens up a ton of new ways to strategize.
Very
and
interesting.
Can't wait for you to see how other Runeterra champs will shake up deck building in expansions to come. Next, a quick update on competitive in 2022. Seasonal tournaments are here to stay, and the best players on each shard will be able to compete for prizes, glory, and a chance to enter into our 2022 World Championship. However, this year, we're no longer holding official broadcasts for each seasonal tournament.
And that's it right there. The fact that they're no longer broadcasting the seasonals is a big point of worry for the entire competitive scene. Some other people in the competitive circle have stated that they want to basically do their own low-budget casting / watch parties of the seasonals going forward, which is basically the only way that you're going to be able to see it televised on like Twitch or even like YouTube live streaming, because well, honestly, not a whole lot of people watch it to begin with. And it's not just with this game, it's with Magic Arena, it's with Hearthstone, it's like all the other CCGs, they do not pull a lot of numbers in for viewership. And honestly, it's always been that way, because honestly, card games are pretty boring to watch. A lot of fun to play, but pretty boring to watch. It's very, very difficult to make a card game exciting for a viewer when they're just watching like a screen like this right here. It's not very interesting. Fun to play, great experience playing the game, but watching it is a total other story. And I like watching these. I mean, this is coming from a guy who makes time to actually sit down and watch these. But even still, like it's not that great.
Instead, we're going to double down and devote all of our efforts to Worlds this year to make sure it's the best experience possible. Lastly, I want to talk about our balance cadence. We just saw a massive balance patch drop with over 30 new changes, and you can expect more patches like this every other month. Thanks to your input, we've brought some familiar faces.
Next patch should be in March.
Back into the limelight.
Like the end of March.
And also
so I'm excited for that.
To more reasonable power levels, like Azarelia, Yordles, and Kinku Wayfinder, who, as it turns out, was really just 3 Teemos in a trench coat.
Nothing like the great outdoors.
Beyond our updated cadence, we're always keeping an ear to the ground to solve emergent issues, even if they fall outside of a scheduled patch window. So keep that feedback coming, and the team will keep making adjustments so the game stays fresh and fun to play. Now here's Brett to wrap things up.
With all the new content Andrew just talked about, we know you're wondering about rotation. So here's the official stance. It's complicated.
Now, this right here is my point of contention, like me specifically. I love standard formats in card games. Type 2, Magic Standard, standard rotation for Hearthstone. I enjoy seeing fresh sets get rotated in and old stuff getting rotated out, just to keep the format fresh. It's like we've been playing this game for over 2 years now, and still there's no rotation. We're still playing with every single card in the pool. And while that's great, it's like there's a lot of great cards to play. I love them. But I would like to see like a new core set get introduced, with like revamped versions of old champions to kind of bring them up to speed with what's been coming out lately. Like you look at old school characters like Garen or like Yasuo, characters that see almost no play anymore because they've been power crept into oblivion. It's like you don't want to play those old cards when you got all these new awesome cards to play instead. So rotation, good. I mean, however they decide to implement it, just implement it. I want to see a rotation happen.
Especially for a game like ours, which relies on champions and their supporting cards. We understand the problems that rotation can solve and are keeping a close eye on them. By the way, you might have noticed a different loading screen last time you logged in. Or maybe you used the colorblind mode released last year. Or seen how Click UI has expanded beyond labs for better accessibility.
All good things.
We definitely want to keep releasing these kinds of quality of life updates where we can in 2022. Finally, let's take a look at where personalization is headed this year. We want to continue making richer, more dynamic skins that have custom animations.
Onward, everybody! The horizon calls!
Is it the mustache? Who knows?
Better! Brighter than before!
We're also planning to add themed champion spells to all of the existing epic skins in April.
That is something that I've been pushing ever since they started making skins for characters. Is like there are some skins that are just primo stuff, really good. Comes with custom animation, custom spells for, like, say, like the Lux skin that you just saw right there has a unique final spark to it. But what they don't have is they don't have unique voice lines. If you're going to be charging your customer a premium for what basically boils down to a $10 JPEG, I want to see more effort being put in. Like any kind of token that is created by a champion. Like say for example, Katarina. Katarina, you summon her, it summons a dagger for your hand. Change the graphical icon to fit whatever theme is Katarina's in now, and give her voice lines that are more thematic for the skin that she's playing in. It's like it's really awkward, and it kind of brings you out of it when you have a new shiny skin for your character, but you're also seeing the old animation that they came stock with. It's something that I personally have had a little bit of a beef with ever since they started rolling them out. So I'm glad they're starting to take that feedback into account.
Additionally, we'll release free Arcane Jinx and Buy skins to celebrate
those skins look
the 2nd
awesome.
anniversary in that same patch.
Those will be my default skins for those
Lastly,
champions.
If you're enjoying the Arcade Battle event, keep an eye out for more events later this year, including Pulsefire in the spring.
I love all the events
That's
they
all
do.
we can tell you for now. There's so much to be excited about this year, and the team can't wait to share more with you in the coming weeks and months.
With your feedback and support, Legends of Runeterra has grown into something that we never could have imagined 2 short years ago. It's been a journey, but the real adventure was the Lux emotes that we endured along the way.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, I could have done without that last bit right there. Hey, it is what it is. Okay. Okay, so that was the roadmap video. And there is quite a bit to unpack there, and I pretty much given my thoughts throughout that video, but just to we'll do a quick recap. Let's see. Let's go over this this screen right here. So this is the early 2022 roadmap. So it's what they have laid out for us. And this is something I believe you'll start seeing in the client when you boot up every time. So say March, major balance update. So that's going to be the thing that comes in next. So we're going to see some balance updates. I see Nar's picture there. Maybe he'll get touched. You've got infernal skins and cosmetics. So that'll be a whole new set of skins that we'll get to play with. We'll likely put out a bundle for you to pick up if you want it. So April, we have champion adjustments. Champion adjustments. Not sure what they mean by that. Maybe it'll be balance adjustments, or maybe, maybe they mean they'll move some champions around in regions, or I don't know. It's too vague. Major balance updates. Okay. That's what they mean. It's like more balance updates. So they'll likely make some more tuning in that month. LoR 2nd anniversary, free Arcane, Jinx, and Vi skins. That's good. Everyone's going to be loving that. May, we have new PvP and PvE expansion. Okay, so that's likely where they're going to bring in Path of Champions 2.0. So that is something to look forward to for anyone that is interested in Path of Champions or any other form of PvE that they want to push. New PvP, I'm thinking that's going to be the new draft mode that they put in to replace expeditions. Now, like I said earlier, I'm not a big fan of expeditions. I never have been. But I know some people that are. And honestly, for those people, I feel kind of bad for them because their mode is going away. I just hope that whatever they choose to replace expeditions with will be good enough to satisfy those players. Because I know a lot of people that will only play limited formats. They do not like Constructed. They don't like the deck building process of Constructed or the pay-to-win process of some games as Constructed. But moving on. Path of Champions 2.0, yep, that's what we're talking about. Pulsefire event and cosmetics. So that'll be the next event in a couple months. Looking forward to that. I'm always looking forward to all the events. I love the events. Seasonal tournament, okay, good. So that'll be at the end of that season. June, we have major balance updates again, good. And Rift Quest skins and cosmetics. So June is basically a copy of March. And then we have July, new PvP and PvE expansion, event pass, and seasonal tournament. Okay, so that's basically an idea of what we have to look forward to in the early months of this year. We'll likely see our Worlds event much later in the year, probably somewhere around September, probably, if I were to venture a guess. Let's see, what do we have here? Path of Champions 2.0. Yeah, this graph right here, this was interesting to see, because like this showed us where we were and where we come from. So in 2020, there's the launch right there. This right here, the Bilgewater April right there, that's when I first started playing. So I've been playing from here forward, and honestly, I've been having a great time with this game ever since. Like this is my favorite game to play, and despite this over here, the whole PvE content push and moving away from competitive outlook, it's something to worry about. It definitely is, but not enough to make you think that the game's dying. I mean, that's just not a thing. I mean, there are more people playing than ever before, but the people that are the loudest, I mean, you've heard the term, what was it? The vocal minority. The people with the loudest voices are in the smallest amount of players. And in this case, it's the competitive scene. And the competitive scene is an absolute microcosm of the player base total. Like you're thinking like maybe 2 to 5% of the total player base is worried about competitive. But me, I'm not worried about it at all. It's like I love the game. I love where the game is going. I think the game is very well balanced as far as competitive card games go. And I'm very interested to see what they do with these neutral champions. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Moving on. Let's see. As the Runeterra champions, we already talked about that. Cosmetics. Okay, and that's pretty much the long and short of it right there. So yeah, let's let's wrap this up. Basically, what I want to say about this is the game's not going anywhere. The competitive downturn will be worrying for some players, but I am not in the camp of people that say that this game is going downhill. If anything, I think the game is expanding. I think the game's getting better than ever, and I'm going to continue covering it. I'm going to continue playing it. I mean, hell, like what I'm doing right now is I'm churning through all of my expedition tokens. I'm playing at least one full expedition run every day until I'm out of tokens. And that's like 35 tokens to run through, by the way. It's going to take me a long time, but it'll give me a lot of resources for the wins and a lot of fun times too. But I might even do like an AMA after I get done grinding through them all, just to see what happens. But anyways, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in there. So this is the casual perspective. I don't think the game's in trouble at all. You may disagree, but that's where I stand on it. Thanks for coming by and listening to me ramble for a while. It was fun. I'll talk to you later.